I love Alcoholics Anonymous. Every single thing that I have in my life today is because of Alcoholics Anonymous. So the answer is yes. When I'm asked and I'm able to do anything for AA, the answer is yes. Thank God for the strong women that took me by my hand and showed me the way. They taught me that we suit up and show up no matter what we feel or think. I thought that those feelings and thoughts were very important and that they were facts. And they said, we're going to get in the car. We're going to just say yes. We're going to be scared and do it anyway.
Well, hello, friends of Bill W. and other friends. You have landed on Sober Speak. My name is John M. I am an alcoholic, and we are glad you're all here, especially newcomers. Newcomers, that is, both to recovery as a whole and newcomers to this podcast. Sober Speak is a podcast about recovery centered around the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. My job here on Sober Speak is simple. My job is to provide a platform to the amazing stories of recovery all around us. Consider Sober Speak, if you will, your meeting between meetings. Please remember, we do not speak for AA or any 12-step community. We represent only ourselves. We are here to share our experience, strength, and hope with those who wish to come along for the ride. Take what you want and leave the rest at the curb for the trash man to pick up. Greetings from Studio AA, deep in the heart of Texas. That was the voice there of Yolanda L that you heard at the beginning of this episode, and you are going to hear so much more from Yolanda in just a moment. But first things first, this here episode is made possible by Audrey, Todd, Audrey, Mary Lynn, and Brad. And you ask yourself, what exactly did Todd, Audrey, Mary Lynn, and Brad do? Well, they went by our humble little website, www.soberspeak.com. They clicked on that little yellow donation tab at the top of the page, and they made a contribution. So thank you so much, Todd, Audrey, Mary Lynn, and Brad. This here episode is coming right out to Ewan's. This here episode number 416. I don't know if I said that yet or not, but anyway, it is 416. So I want to tell you a little bit about what I did last night. My friend Ricky C. and his lovely bride Felicia invited me and the lovely Mrs. M to the James Taylor concert. So we got to go out there and watch that, and it was just great. And not only were Ricky and his wife Felicia there present at the festivities, we also had Joe Mook. And if you've been listening to this episode any length of time whatsoever, you'll recognize Joe Mook's name. He doesn't go by Joe Mick. I just call him that. And his wife, Lucy, who was also there. And not only that, a little cherry on top of these festivities was my beautiful daughter was able to join us as well, as guests once again of Ricky and Felicia. And we just had such a great time. And I cannot stop singing a couple songs in my head. One is "Shower These People You Love with Love." Now my voice obviously is nothing like James Taylor, but you get the idea. And the other one is "Fire and Rain," that just kind of keeps rolling and rolling through my head today. how's it go? Woke up this morning and I rolled down. Now, how come I'm doing Elvis? I always kind of default to Elvis, whoever I'm impersonating singing. It makes no sense whatsoever, but I woke up this morning and I wrote down this song. I just can't remember who to send it to. But anyway, James Taylor was absolutely great. What a wonderful man. I know he has struggled with addiction himself. And so it was absolutely great to see him in the band. And his son actually was there performing with him. And he did a little bitty solo. It was nice to watch his son. And his son is a great singer. Imagine that. I guess he's got the genes for it. But anyway. All right. Now, on to Miss Yolanda L. Yolanda is from Dallas, Texas. We recorded this one at the Tri-Cities event in North Texas. And this one is called The Answer is Yes. Yolanda discusses growing up in a chaotic, dysfunctional home, which included many visits from the CPS. And just in case you don't know what CPS is, or maybe you actually live outside of the country of the United States, and you're thinking, what is the CPS? It's Child Protective Services. Anyway, she talks about abusive relationships with men that she was in, her multiple felony convictions, prison fights, sugar daddies, how she hated herself and was dead inside, making living amends to her children. You want to hear that one? And hearing God's voice, and much, much more. And folks, we will have plenty listener feedback at the end of this episode. Enjoy, Yolanda.
Hi, everybody. I'm Yolanda L and I'm alcoholic. I've been kept sober by the grace of God and people like you since March the 12th, 2015. I'm very, very grateful for that. Y'all, that also is the last day that I've ever been arrested. I'm very grateful for that as well. I love Alcoholics Anonymous. Every single thing that I have in my life today is because of Alcoholics Anonymous. So the answer is yes. When I'm asked and I'm able to do anything for AA, the answer is yes. You know, thank God for the strong women that took me by my hand and showed me the way. They taught me that we suit up and show up no matter what we feel or think. I thought that those feelings and thoughts were very important and that they were facts. And they said, we're going to get in the car. We're going to just say yes. We're going to be scared and do it anyway. Y'all, it's an honor and privilege to be at a podium in an AA meeting, to be invited somewhere to tell your story. Dan, thank you so much for inviting me to get out of myself and come here tonight and share this story with y'all. Y'all, I do have a sponsor. Her name, she does know that she's sponsoring me. Her name's Claudia Henning, and she is not nice. She very lovingly tells me the truth when I don't want to hear it. And she's constantly bossing me around, and she calls it giving me direction. Y'all, she reminds me that this program is not for people that want it or need it. It's for people that are desperate enough to take direction. Y'all, I do have a home group. That home group is Chicago Group. I'm very proud of that. I love those people. We meet once a week on Wednesday nights. They actually just selected me their secretary, and I cannot believe those people and God think I can do that job. But God, through me, has been doing it since April. It's been going well. We'll see what happens for the rest of the year. Y'all, I'm up here tonight to share in a general way what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. And you know, as I share my consequences and my details, I want to just remind you, first of all, to look for the similarities and not the differences. But also, these consequences and details are not what makes me an alcoholic. I'm standing here, an alcoholic woman tonight, because I have the obsession of the mind and the allergy of the body. And the obsession of the mind, it lies to me. It lies to me. It tells me you can have one, you deserve to have two. You're going to just do it tonight, and then we'll start over. And when it convinces me to take that drink, it sets off a craving beyond my control. The book calls it a phenomenon. And 8 months later, I come to, whatever has happened is a blur. And I'm usually sitting in a jail cell because you see, if I drink alcohol, I'm going to prison. And I don't know why. I'm normal in every other respect. But when I put alcohol in my body, I'm going to prison. I did not know that before. Grateful that I'm aware of that today. Y'all, I woke up this morning in my own home that I paid the rent on with money that I worked for. And I went to sleep in some pajamas, and I came to in the same pajamas that I had on when I went to sleep. I stumbled over to the coffee pot. I made me some Starbucks coffee. I also bought that with my own money. Y'all, and I sit down and I talk to and listen to a God of my understanding. That is an absolute miracle just in itself. Something that a normal person does on a regular basis. Maybe they don't talk to God. But I'm still astonished that I woke up in my home, that I paid the rent on, that I bought the things that I enjoyed, and that I sat down and had a relationship with a higher power. Something I wanted nothing to do with when I got to Alcoholics Anonymous. If you would have told me 10 years ago that I'd have the life that I have today, I'd have told you you're absolutely out of your mind. That I'd be standing on a Saturday night at an AA podium telling you a story about how I've stayed sober. But so much more than that, that I am an esteemable woman and that I love the woman that's looking back at me in the mirror today. That I'm a good mom. That I'm a good member of Alcoholics Anonymous. That I sponsor women. That I'm sponsored. That I tell the truth and I do it reluctantly and I don't do it perfect. But I show up when I say I'm going to. And I'm a good employee. Y'all, I grew up in a very, very dysfunctional home, and I used to think that everything that had happened to me in my drinking was because of that. My parents were alcoholics. They had the same disease that I have. I remember not cookies baking in the oven, not the Barbies at Christmas time, not the camping trips. What I remember is, and I have very vivid memories from 1 to 5 of fighting butcher knives chaos. I remember the chaos. My mom would throw us in the car at 2 a.m. We would go to a hotel. We'd stay there for a couple days. And of course, we would come back. At 5 years old, my dad got ripped out of our lives. And somehow that man managed to be functional on some level and pay the rent, I guess, from age 1 to 5, because we lived in one spot. I remember that. At the age of 5, he was ripped out of our life. He killed a man driving drunk. He got a 10-year sentence for that. He did almost every day on that 10-year sentence. And my mom quickly became a bartender again. They met in a bar. She was a bartender. And she would crawl in the door at 6 a.m. And what I remember is a different man in our life every week, and her drunk crawling in the door at 6 a.m. My older sister was my mom. We lived in no-tell motels all up and down Division Street in Arlington, Texas. And my life was hard. It was very hard. And I remember the chaos from that stint of my part of my life. But you know what I do remember, and I hear this shared at podiums all the time. I also remember not being okay in my own skin. I think I needed a drink way before I took my first drink. I thought you knew something that I didn't, and I compared my insides to your outsides. If it looked like you had it together, you must know something that I don't, and I'm not good enough, and I'm never going to measure up. I know that I was born with the disease of alcoholism. I don't remember what age it was, but I went to live with my grandmother. CPS got involved in our lives, and me and my baby brother went to live with my grandma. And I'm so grateful for that time in my life. And I like to talk about it at the podium because she took me to a church. That church and that religion did not save me from going down the road I was about to go down. But I did have an idea. They were very, very spirit-filled, speaking in tongues, Pentecostal people. And I had an idea that there might be something bigger than me. I've started to believe that there was a God when I was 10 or 11 years old. I felt something in the room when they would worship this God. She had to fight me a lot of times to go. I did not want to go, but I'm grateful for that time in my life. Religion has never worked for me. I also remember them saying I was going to go to hell if I did this, and you're not good enough, and if you do this, God's going to be mad at you. God's mad. Y'all, my dad got out of prison when I was 12. He had a beer in his hand. It didn't matter how much time he had been in that prison. He had a beer in his hand. Because see, if we go in a waiting room, it doesn't matter if it's years or years. It doesn't matter. I'm still an alcoholic. So, at the age of 14, I took my first drink. Me and my cousin stole Purple Passion from my aunt and uncle. Probably some of y'all know what that is. We took all of it. We were going to put some of it back. She drank a little bit. I drank to blackout. And I had that experience that we hear shared about all the time, that I'm okay. Everything's okay. I'm strong enough, good enough, pretty enough. I got it all figured out. And this feels great. I know I can't wait to do this again. I blacked out. I came to the next morning. I had the worst hangover I've ever had in my life. I still remember it today. I was 14. I begged God to help me. Had vomit in my hair. I don't remember doing that, but it was there. And my uncle whooped me, pulled his belt off, and whooped me that day, me and my cousin. And we're running around him. And he's whooping us. I had a bad headache. Y'all, and I couldn't wait to do it again. I couldn't wait to do it again. I had two parents that were alcoholics, and so I got to do it a whole lot. They weren't present. They couldn't be present. And I used to have anger toward them and resentment toward them for not being present in my life. Anyway, so I went on from 14 to 17. I dropped out of middle school. I never walked into a high school as a student. I started making friends with those friend people. You know the kind of people I'm talking about. The kind that think it's a good idea to give a 15-year-old that looks like she's 20 alcohol and plus, whatever dry good they got going on as well. It didn't take me long. Before I was 16, I was participating, and I'm down for whatever. I'll get in the trash can with you. I have no qualms about it. I will drink first and ask you what it was later. That is just my story. Y'all, at 17, I walked into a convenience store. I saw the clerk standing there, and he was the most beautiful higher power I'd ever seen in my entire life. I did not know that at the time. But he had long black hair, big full lips, beautiful face, beautiful skin. He was a little bit older than me. And I was literally living with him 2 weeks later. Come to find out, he was one of the most sick people I've ever met in my entire life. And I believe that's still true today. And that's sad because I've been to some really bad places in my life. But for him, it's sad because he's still doing the same stuff that he was doing. Y'all, I had a baby in 1996, a baby in 97, a baby in 99. And mind you, I have no coping skills. My parents been doing whatever they've been doing, drinking my whole life. I've been barely drawing a sober breath at the age of from 14 to 17. And I get pregnant, and this man's telling me every day, you're not good enough, you're not educated, you're not pretty enough, you're fat, you're ugly. And it was just emotional abuse. And I literally thought something was going to be wrong with my kids when they were born. That's how bad we fought. And you know what? I used to blame him, and I stayed. I played a part in that. I stayed there for 5 years with him. In 1999, I gave birth to that final baby, and I ended up separating from Jeremy. And it was the best thing that I ever did in my life. But you know what happened? 2 months later, I was in another relationship because, see, I do the same. Anything that changes the way that I feel, I'm going to gravitate toward it. So I can do the same thing with relationships that I can do with alcohol really quickly. Got in that relationship. He was one of those friend people, and he wasn't emotional or, he wasn't emotionally abusive. He was physically abusive. So I'm standing there, and I've got this newborn baby, and she's about, 3 months old, and the other two, and I'm not sober. And he's hitting me in front of my kids. And there was something inside me, and I don't know if it was that God that I picked up when I was 10 or 11 years old. I believe it was today, standing here, the woman that I am today. But I knew that I didn't want my kids to be raised in that same situation. And so the mother of their dad was amazing. Their grandmother, she was an amazing lady. And I decided to let her take my kids, but she wouldn't take the baby because he told her that she wasn't his, but she is his. And I knew she was. So she took the oldest two. The baby was left with me. Y'all, when that happened, that mama guilt came. I'm not sober. He's abusive. I have no manageability at all. And I fell off the deep end really quickly. CPS got involved with that other baby. And she was in foster care for a couple of weeks and all of that stuff that goes along. If you're a parent and you're in this room, you know what I'm talking about, even if it wasn't as bad as CPS getting involved. It's that guilt, shame, and remorse. I can't get sober for my children. And I wanted to. Anyway, she ended up in CPS for a couple of weeks, and one of my family members had ended up adopting her completely. And my kids were in a safe, sober environment. And I would make that choice again today. I signed papers for that baby to go with that family. Once those papers were signed, I definitely had fell completely off the deep end, and I barely drew a sober breath. I drank constantly. And about 5 or 6 months later, I came to in the Tarrant County Jail. I was 25 years old, and I had 13 felony convictions. You see, I'd gotten in that trash can. I was young. I'd gotten in that trash can, and they were sending me to prison. And those people that helped me get in the trash can, or wanted me in the trash can, very much so, said I was going to get probation. They did not give me probation. Because you see, I had done a bunch of crimes, and they knew I had done all of those, and they couldn't prove it. So they were mad about that. I went on to prison, y'all, and it was a horrible experience. I never liked it one time. And I got there. I had to fight. The first day I pulled my stuff off the chain bus and pulled it in my cell. The girl stole something out of my stuff while I went out to get my other bag. I had to fight her because I knew that if I didn't, my whole stay in there was going to be something that was going to be way harder than me fighting her that day. I was scared to death. I don't care what I had seen up to that point at 25 years old. I was scared to death. I was on hobby unit. So I went through that prison trip, and you know what? I prayed a lot. I read the Bible. That happens sometimes when you go to jail. Okay. You're like, God, please help me. I wrote the daughters, and I told them I was going to get sober, and I meant that. But to me, getting sober was not getting in the trash can. It had nothing to do with my alcohol, because I cannot give that up. That's normal. That's what people do, right? That's all I had known my whole life. I just couldn't imagine my life without alcohol. So I got out and I went to work in the service industry. The people that I worked with invited me out to drink margaritas one night. On the parole papers, it says, do not drink alcohol. There's like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. There's a column that tells you what you can and can't do. I didn't see the part about the alcohol. I drank the alcohol. They said I was the life of the party. They couldn't wait to do it again with me. I overshot the mark. I did it quite a bit between that night and whatever night it was that I got back in the trash can. I got in the trash can, I don't know, 8 months later. I feel like it's like an 8-month thing for me. It's a blur. I go to the Dallas County Jail this time. Y'all, I'm sitting there and I can't get out. I got a blue warrant. I'm not getting out. I'm going back to prison. I'm telling the daughters, I'm going to be your mom. I'm going to get out and be sober. I'm already starting to tell them that again. I get down to the prison. This time I did not read the Bible. Y'all, I got down there and I got a girlfriend immediately. I started stealing cheese out of the kitchen, bleach, trading stamps for stuff in there. That's what you do. And the other girls showed me how to get a sugar daddy. Started writing these men. You can get on a website. You start writing these men and you start lying to them immediately. I'm going to get out. I'm going to be your wife. I'm going to take care of your kids. I'm going to be a stepmom to your kids. All the things. Same pen and paper, same hand, same woman, and same cell. I sit down and write my children and tell them, I'm going to get out, be a good mom, get sober, change my life, and get a job. I had no idea that none of that was attached to my disease. None. I function in alcoholism when I don't have any alcohol in me. I got out of there, rolled that sugar daddy's house, and guess what? He wanted me to do everything I had wrote down on that paper. I mean, I had told him, please put $500 on my books for a fan. I need a fan. It's $500. I think it was $20. I mean, I was not a good person. But I thought I was somebody, and I thought I loved myself because I walked out of prison with a $1,500 check on my books. Like, I made money and spent money the whole time I was in there and thought I was somebody. I drank immediately. He wanted me to do what I said on the paper, okay? I drank. Another spree. I repeated that process 2 more times. I have 4 TDCJ numbers. And I hated the place. I didn't want to go back there. I could not connect the drinking and the lying and manipulating to the trash can and the prison. Because I knew the trash can came, I was going to the prison. I made a firm decision based on self-knowledge and the consequences that had occurred that I wasn't getting in the trash can. The daughters grew up without me, y'all. 15 years. In and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. Couldn't stay sober, and I couldn't do it for them, and I wanted to. Again, if you're a parent in this room, I know you felt that feeling. This is the only disease that will cause a mother to look at her child, and they're begging her. And she says, I'll be right back. I'll be right back. I'm going to go drink more. I'll be right back. And turn around and shut the door. And be convinced that you're coming right back. But you can't once you put it in. Y'all, I walked off Mountain View Unit in 2014. My mom died while I was in prison. I didn't get to go to her funeral. I walked off Mountain View Unit in handcuffs. I was in SEG when they pulled me out. I have alcoholism when I'm dry. And I walked out of there and I paroled to that sugar daddy. I do this, and I do the same thing over and over, expecting a different result too. Paroled to the sugar daddy's house one more time. This time it's going to work out. I walked out of that gate at 8. By the end of the night, I was in the Fort Worth drunk tank because I fought him at a bar. I drank that night, that day. Fought him at a bar. They threw me in the drunk tank. Didn't run my name. They just threw me in there, let me dry out, and I got out the next morning. That is a miracle. I should have been violated. I walked out of there and went on the worst spree I've ever been on in my life. I literally hated myself, and I was dead inside. Because you see, it used to be drink alcoholically, and it's really kind of getting bad, and then boom, you get in the trash can. It lasts about 6 months, and then boom, 8 months, we're on a spree. Now it's drink, and I'm in the trash can the next day. I mean, it just this disease is progressive. Our big book says it, and I've lived it. It just progresses. If I pick up today, 10 years later, y'all know what's going to happen. Worst spree I've ever been on in my life. I just want to tell you this real quick. The book talks about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I drank. I had a tan, a bank account, a new car, a dress. My nails were done. And I committed a crime. I got in the trash can 2 days later, committed a crime. I didn't even need any money. I needed no money. The man was still paying for everything. Why? I went on the run for that crime. I was already on parole. I'm on parole. Worst run I've ever been on. On March 11th, 2015, I was drinking everything I had it in front of me, shoving everything I could get inside me to get this hole in my soul filled up. I could not get away from myself. Nothing was working. The thing that had been my only solution had stopped working. You know, I hear it shared all the time. I went to a friend's house that night. I committed a crime on my way there. Got away with it. Sure did. Got to the house. I passed out. Not went to sleep. I blacked out. Came to the next morning, my car, the sugar daddy's still paying for, loaded down with everything I own. I'm homeless. I came to in the same clothes that I had blacked out in, shoes still on my feet. And my purse was sitting beside me. I can't believe that my stuff was still there, that my car was still there, and that I had my car keys. Nobody had anything. I was desperately looking for something in the house to change the way that I felt, because I came to and I was in so much pain in my soul and in my body that I would have taken anything you had. I wouldn't. It didn't matter what it was. There was nothing in the house. I got in the car. I weighed 100 pounds. I'm just not a 100 pounds kind of person. Just not. I weighed 100 pounds. I had a black hair dye stain dripping down my forehead. I had dyed my hair black the day before, left it on too long, and there was one drip that I left on the skin. Couldn't get it off. I scrubbed it that night, scrubbed alcohol. It's raw. It's rubbed raw, and it's a black dye stain. 100 pounds. I get in that car and I go to sell the thing that I had obtained on the way to the house that I blacked out at. And a cop passed me like this and he recognized me. He had arrested me before. Ran my name, flipped around, saw I was wanted. I was on the run for three new felonies, and y'all, I was on parole. And so he pulled me out of the car and he said, "Miss Lyle, aren't you tired of this?" He put me in the back of that cop car and I looked up at the sky. The sun had just came up. And I said, "God, thank you so much. I'm so tired." You think I had said anything to God in a long time? No. Not a word. Not saved my life. Nothing. They took me to Dallas County Jail, and they were trying to give me double-digit numbers, file habitual on me, y'all, and I still had the sugar daddy. I kept that sugar daddy till step 12, by the way. I did. Still had him. Sure did. Just in case God couldn't do for me what I needed done. He paid for an attorney. The attorney pulled me down there to the judge, and they gave me 10 years probation, ran concurrent with the parole I was on. They reinstated the parole, gave me 10 years probation, and sent me out to Wilmer. It's a Dallas County Judicial Treatment Center. It is the absolute best thing that's ever happened to me. At the right time, on the right day. I tried to get out of it because I had a paid attorney, remember? I went back before him. I said, "Please don't send me. All you got to do is let me out the back door." I finally get it. He said, "Miss Lyle, do you see this file?" It was huge. He said, You're going. I don't care what's going on in your life. You're going to the treatment center." Y'all, I got down there and they started, oh my God, it was something that I'd never experienced before in my life. All I had done was grew up in the street and went to prison. I had no idea that coping skills were a thing, that counseling was a thing, that these meetings were happening, that there was shift the view, back up, breathe, be quiet, and all that stuff. They're telling me all that. They've taken my coffee away. And they're sending me to that meeting where you're pulling each other up. Like I'm telling you what you did wrong and you're telling me what I did wrong. And I mean, it was a culture shock. Something I had never experienced before. The counselor was telling me that I needed to look at myself and my thinking. She's telling me this stuff. And then AA was coming in there. Y'all, those women were bright, shiny, and new. They had blonde from up here, not down here. I noticed that real quick. They had new purses, and they talked about being sober, and I thought they were getting paid. I swear to you, I thought they were getting paid the first few months until I really opened my ears enough and realized that they were coming there to be of service. One day, one of the ladies, she was the crazy one. All of us liked her because we identified with her. They were all asking her to be the sponsor because they were talking about the sponsor thing. She said, I have a dog and a house and a gym membership and I have a plant. I wanted a plant. And the lady said, I love the woman that's looking back at me in the mirror today. I don't know how my higher power used that moment, but in that moment, just like that, I knew I didn't have it, even if I walked off Mountain View Unit with a $1,500 check because I'm so cool, right? I knew I didn't have it, and I knew I wanted it really bad. And in that moment, I remember being completely aware that I did not know how to stay sober on my own. I had been the jaywalker all those 15 years. I went in and out, and I would make that decision. It never worked out for me based on a decision. Y'all, I finished that 6 months. It was 6 months inpatient treatment, and I asked one of the ladies to be my sponsor. She was my sponsor for the first 7 years of my sobriety. She was not the cool, funny, loud one, but she was the exact thing that I needed. She was quiet. She was stern. She told me the truth. I needed a hard woman like that. Y'all, she told me, get out of here and meet me at a 7 a.m. meeting. I was like, oh, God, you're kidding me. I mean, really? And so she went to those 7 a.m. meetings, and I did. I met her the next morning at a 7 a.m. meeting. I picked up my 1-year chip. My first year I was incarcerated, or I was in rehab and incarcerated. And I got that 1-year chip, and it was full of old timers, not a lot of women. And I was 38. And I didn't have I thought, man, I don't have anything in common with these people. And she was bossy. Both of them. I've had two. Both of them have been bossy. But she said, get here early and get your coffee before and go to the bathroom and listen to the people that are talking. Don't be emailing anything. Oh, I deactivated the Facebook and I went to a sober living house. 2 things that I did different than I had ever done. I still got the sugar daddy, okay? I'm starting the steps and all that. I'm willing to go just a little bit. And that's how my whole program's been. I'll give you my pinky, and then it starts working. I'll give you the rest of the pinky. That's okay. So yeah, she started bossing me around, and my God, I hated it. And I tried to fire her. I've been defiant since I've been this big. I was desperate, and this was the last house on the block for me. Y'all, I started working those steps, and my whole life changed. My whole life changed. My whole life started to change. I did 4 and 5 in her kitchen dining room, and I knew when we got done, it was 3 or 4 hours. I knew something was different, and I didn't know I was having a spiritual experience, but I felt right for the first time ever in my whole life. I think I felt right with me and my maker, and I didn't know what was going on. I just knew that I was right where I was supposed to be, and I needed to finish. At 9 and 10, we looked at the sugar daddy, what I owed him, the financial amends. I made the list. My God, I think I could remember $100,000. He probably would say it's more than that. I wrote it all down. I got through all the amends. She said, okay, now it's time to do the big one. I said, I'm not ready. She said, are you willing? And I said, yes. She said, we're going to keep going. When I got to step 12, y'all, I no longer was that woman inside me that needs a sugar daddy. I had obtained a relationship with a power greater than myself based on the action that I took out of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And it wasn't because Lee told me or anybody else told me. I mean, I needed you guys to tell me, but nobody could do that for me. I no longer was okay with lying to him or taking his money. I went and did that amends with him, and I told him I owe you $100,000. First of all, I said, I've been lying to you. He said, I know. And then I said, I owe you $100,000. He said, okay, yeah. And I want to make it right. He said, give me $1,000 and we'll be good. I paid $20 a month because I had a job making $10.75 an hour. I made that amends to that man. And since that day, I've become self-supporting through my own contributions. Y'all, the job. Oh my God. I have 23 felonies on my record. So I couldn't get a job at QT, Burger King, Original Pancake House, Winco Foods. Like, I was actually doing the applications and showing up for the interviews. I had a sponsor that really made sure that I was doing that stuff. Nobody would give me a job. I got my job at an AA meeting. It's not an employment agency. I'm not confused about that. So nobody get confused about that. It's not. But people saw what I was doing. Somebody popped up. The person wasn't even an alcoholic. A hard drinker, had a couple consequences and needed to pass through AA. And he happened to pass through my home group. Y'all, it's a really nice place, a really nice restaurant, and I've been there 9 years, and I'm the owner's right hand today. I have the code to their safe. I have the alarm code to their restaurant. I'm a server, event coordinator, and manager there. My credit went from 300 to 8 something because my sponsor taught me how to manage the money. I wanted to spend it. If it's credit, you can spend it, right? I learned how to be an adult and a woman in Alcoholics Anonymous. The kids. The kids came back in my life, y'all. Oh my God, all they wanted was me the whole time. And day in and day out, some days it floats back in, but that mama guilt, I'm able to hand it to my higher power today. And remember that sick woman that was standing there, what else could she have done but put her children in a safe place, even if it was without her? They came back in my life, and my God, I've been able to make a living amends to my children. A living amends. The 2 baby girls told me, they tell me all the whole way, like the last 5 years, oh my God, Mom, you did your big one. You changed your life. I can't tell you how valuable that is to me. I have 2 grandsons. That older daughter, my oldest daughter gave birth to 2 boys. She got pregnant with the first one in 2015. That's the year I got sober. Neither one of them have ever seen me take a drink. Y'all, in May of 2023, I was a convention chair for the Dallas Gathering of Eagles. By the way, I've been taking meetings into treatment centers and on a planning committee for a AA convention since 2017, and I did not want to do any of that. I just want you to know that. But it's absolutely kept me in service and sober and out of myself. I got sponsees like that keep me sober, Kristen. 2023, I'm the convention chair for the Dallas Gathering of Eagles. I'm sponsoring a young lady named Chloe. She was 22 years old. Called me every day, 10 months into her sobriety. She's doing everything I tell her to do. And on Mother's Day, she flew home to see her family in Lubbock. And something happened up there. She flew home. And while she was on the plane, she obsessed about drinking the little alcohol bottles. She got back here. She called me every day still. On a Sunday, she called me and said she ran over a duck. She was an Amazon driver. She was hysterical. And the people were yelling at her about running over the duck, and she was hysterical. And I was like, Chloe, it's okay. Just figure out what to do. You're fine. She figures that out. I don't hear from her on Monday. At 11 p.m. on Tuesday night, I hadn't heard from her. I wake up Wednesday morning, and I call one of the girls that's in her sober living house and say, you need to check on Chloe. She hasn't called me in 2 days. The kickoff dinner for the Gathering of Eagles was the next day on a Thursday. It always starts on a Thursday. The girl goes in to check on Chloe, and she opens the door, and Chloe's laying there dead. She calls me, tells me that. I run to where Chloe's at, the sober living house. I begged the officer to let me see her body. I knew I was going to have to call her mother. They let me see the body. I wish I never would have done that. It's just something you do in that moment, though, I guess. I don't know. I had to call her mother and tell her that her 22-year-old daughter was dead of an overdose. She had drank and got in the trash can. I literally could feel that woman's body vibrating on the phone. I was standing in that sober living house, and God told me in my spirit. You see, I can hear God's voice today because some old timer taught me how to meditate and pray. God told me I healed her today. I had to go chair that convention the next day. I showed up because that's what I've been trained to do. We suit up and show up. The next year, I'm the convention chair again, May the 15th of 2024. I get a phone call that my 25-year-old daughter's dead from a fentanyl overdose. The kickoff dinner is in a week and a half. Most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life physically. And internally, she was one of us, and she was in pain. First time she'd ever taken fentanyl at all as well. Killed her. She was a beautiful blessing. And y'all, she wrote me a letter, and I don't even think I have time to read it. She wrote me a letter. I found this letter. I'm going to read it really quickly. I want you to know that when a mother or a father gets news like that, it's something that you can't prepare for it. Because of the relationship that I have with a God of my understanding, because of the 12 steps that I took and the spiritual principles that I live, I was able to navigate through that. My home group surrounded me like something I've never seen before in my life. My work family, the regulars at the restaurant, her friend, people came out of the woodworks. I had to tell people, quit giving me money. I got enough. I saw God in a way that I could never have seen God if something like this didn't happen in my life. Y'all, my daughter wrote this letter. She was staying with me. She had a lot of problems. My God, she was in pain, and she was one of us. She wrote this letter on July the 24th of 2022. It was a Sunday. It says, "Dear God, I would like to start with, I'm trying to actively get closer to you, even though it's not easy. It's been helpful. I guess helpful wouldn't be the correct term, more like it has helped me grow into the woman that I am. It's never an overnight process, but it's definitely much needed, and I'm so sorry that it's taken me so long to snap out of it. I have faith in the wrong people when I should have just had faith in you. My learning experience has been long and hard and very exhausting, but it was needed. I'm very glad that I went through the things I did, and I very much appreciate it because without those tribulations, I wouldn't have had the knowledge that I do today. I would also like to thank you for giving me this time to get closer to my mom. It's all I've ever wanted, and I genuinely feel close to her now. But more importantly, thank you so much for allowing and helping my mom to change. She's healthy now, and I was feeling like something was wrong missing her in my life. You gave me my mom back. She is stronger and happier than ever, and for that I will forever be grateful. A huge hole in my heart has been filled, and it makes that aspect of my life much better. I'm currently learning to love myself more and to hold myself accountable for my actions. I think being aware of my emotions and flaws has brought me a lot of responsible tendencies. About that. I'm trying very hard, and I heard the best decisions are always the hardest. My mom told me to write down how I was feeling because it would make me feel better. And I thought to myself, why would I want to do that? I decided to compose a prayer. I guess this is my way of praying to you. I just wanted to tell you how grateful I am for the blessings. And please continue to help me and guide me along my journey. Love, Mariah. This is the most priceless thing that I own. Y'all, I was able to do a living amends to my child because you people taught me how to live. This is a life or death disease, and it looks like just one drink tonight. I'm going to end with this. Y'all, my sponsee sent me this today. It's on page 317 in the big book. It's out of a story in the back. It said, My Chance to Live. And it says, when I'm willing to do the right thing, I'm rewarded with an inner peace no amount of liquor could ever provide. When I'm unwilling to do the right thing, I become restless, irritable, and discontent. It is always my choice. Through the 12 steps, I have been granted the gift of a choice. I am no longer at the mercy of a disease that tells me the only answer is to drink. That's all I have. Thank you, guys.
Once again, Yolanda, thank you so much for letting us tape you, record you, whatever you want to call it, there at the Tri-Cities event here in North Texas. And it was just so wonderful to hear your story. And I know that the listeners are going to enjoy it as well. If you're out there listening and you have any feedback on Yolanda or any of the other speakers that we have, just email me at johnjohn@soberspeak.com. If you are not following us on the Instagram, it's at Soberspeak, all one word. You want to go out there and follow us there. And then also we have a super secret Facebook group, and you can get in contact with us at the community there. There's no charge for it. Just ask for admission and we'll let you on in. Go to go to Facebook and search up Soberspeak Secret Group and we will let you on in. The bar is very, very, very low. What else did I want to say? Oh, and about that episode that you just heard, now we don't want you sharing your toothbrush, but we would love for you to pause your device and share that episode with another friend or family member. It may be just what they need today. Now, on to a little bit of listener feedback. Jamie writes in, and Jamie says, Hi, John, I'm Jamie C. I am from Peterborough, Ontario, Canada. My sobriety date is July 16th, 2024. I came across your podcast while at work, and I installed Tile. I tend to work alone, so I get to listen in daily. I've listened from the very first episode and have been working my way through. I'm now on episode 105 with Denise B. Oh, I remember that episode so well. Denise is just fantastic. I should have her back on. I'm just talking out loud here. Anyway. And he says, I can't point specifically to a speaker that most resonated with me, but I find I can take a lot from every speaker. I'm sure if I look back, there are quite a few that I can relate to more. I know you Texans take recovery very serious, so it's great for this Canadian boy to listen up. It's funny, John, in writing this, I feel like I'm emailing a celebrity, as Soberspeak has been in my ears for a few months now. I'm really familiar with the structure of your podcast, and it's really becoming a comforting place for me. Oh, thank you, and God bless, Jamie. Well, first of all, Jamie, I don't know if I quite fit the definition of a celebrity. I am just another bozo on the bus like you, trying to make my way through this thing called life. And, but I appreciate all your kind words. And that is so cool. That last line there, I'm really familiar with the structure of your podcast, and it's really becoming a comforting place for me. Thank you for your time. God bless. That is just so cool, Jamie. Thank you so much for writing in from the Great White North up there, one of our Canucks. You know, I've thought about this out loud before. I say Canuck, and I don't think that's a derogatory term. I am assuming that it's not. If it is, I don't mean it that way. But anyway, thanks for writing in from up there in Canada. We appreciate you and all the Canadians listening. And Megan writes in, and Megan says, and the subject line is, thanks for everything you do. And it says, hi, John. First and foremost, once again, thank you for everything you do. I hope you know how much you help people like me. I have now been sober for 451 days. I did this on my own. No meetings. Not because I didn't want to, but because because I don't have transportation, and I'm really not the kind of person that can walk into a meeting of strangers by myself, LOL. But when I was 6 months old, I contracted viral meningitis, and it left me with some pretty severe side effects affecting my coordination and balance. I worked as a CNA. I think that's a certified nurse. And that's something in the medical field, I'm sure. Anyway, from the time I was 18 until last year at 41 years old. It may seem ironic that someone who has such physical limitations would be able to do such a physically demanding job, but that was the only thing I have ever known. In the back of my head, I knew that I had no business working in that position. It was crazy hard on my body, and most of the time it took all I had at the end of the day to limp out of that building on my sore feet and legs, but it was so oddly satisfying that I was making such a difference in so many people's lives. While that was going on, I was drinking up to 12 beers a night, sometimes more. I was up till all hours of the night drinking at home by myself and then going to work at 6 o'clock. I finally had to concede to the fact that my body was not made to run around all day, so I had to face the facts and applied for disability. At the same time, all of this shit was going on, I decided that I needed to quit drinking once and for all, especially since I wasn't going to be working anymore. I did not want to drink my whole life away. It's bad enough that I drank away all of my 20s and 30s. I didn't enjoy anything all the time off of work was spent either drinking or in bed all day nursing a hangover. So at this point, and I'm holding out because I just know that there is a very bright light at the end of this tunnel. I don't even know if I would say quitting drinking alcohol was worth it to me. Nobody ever talks about the beginning and when it's so effing hard, facing all the trauma that you pushed down deep for so many years. I am so happy that I found this podcast. It's literally the first one in all this time that I have found that I can relate to. And I just wanted to reach out and say thank you truly from the bottom of my heart. God bless you, Megan. Listen. If you need me to put you in touch with another woman that can help you in this path, that you can attend Zoom meeting or online meetings, whatever they're called nowadays, and there's all sorts of ways that AA can help without you even being in the meeting, and I would be more than happy to help with that. You just let me know. I'm sure there's tons of folks out there that would be willing to lend an ear, reach out to you, and do whatever you want. So anyway, congratulations on your 451 days. I think that's fantastic. But I hope that you find something besides just the sobriety. All right, everybody. That right there is another episode of Sober Speak in the books. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. I take this 1 week at a time. I hope to be back next week. May God bless you and keep you until then. And I thought of another little sign off earlier this week. I don't know if anybody else uses this, but I thought maybe I should say, just skip all that other stuff and say, sober on. Sober on. You like that one? Yeah. Okay, everybody, sober on. But, I would say 10 to 15% of the people that listen to this podcast don't actually drinking is not their issue, but they have other issues usually, and they like the 12 steps, or they just like stories or whatever. So that word only wouldn't apply to them. But the vast majority of the people listening in here, I think sober on would be apropos. And I've talked way too long. Bye-bye, everybody. Peace out.